Hi everyone, it's Karen here and I'm back again with a new video in the series of Beginners Mixed Media, and today I'm going to be talking about modeling paste. And modeling paste is a great medium, as we talked about the different mediums that exist for art and mixed media. And I want to talk specifically about modeling paste. There's also something that we call texture paste, and they're a little bit different, and I'm going to create a whole new video about texture paste separately from this because I really wanted to focus specifically about modeling paste. Modeling paste, and this is according to the internet, it's a thick acrylic gel blended with marble dust for a strong, durable texture. So what does that mean? So there is the gel, and we talked about the gel in a previous video. I talked about the gel in a previous video, and you can go and watch the two videos that I created about gel medium and acrylic gels. And they take the acrylic gel and they mix it with marble dust, actual marble, and that creates a really nice smooth paste. Now, the difference I find between regular paste and texture paste is the consistency of it. So the regular modeling paste is very smooth when you apply it. When you open the pot, it's very, very smooth and it's very, very nice to apply. As opposed to texture paste, you will find that it's a little bit more gritty, and you will find that it has like pieces in it, but all texture paste is modeling paste with stuff in it. So they'll put things like sand, they'll put things like glass beads, they'll put things color and things like that to create that grittiness texture. Pumice stone is another one that they add inside the modeling paste, so that's a way of creating that texture paste. There's so many companies that make modeling paste. We have things like Liquitex and Prima Marketing, Finnabair, and we have the Crafters Workshop. Golden makes some too. I only gather the ones that I have. I don't own every single modeling paste out there in the market. There's also DecoArt, and I will talk about some other ones that people call differently, but they're still modeling paste. Modeling paste have like a lot of different ways of spelling them depending on what country you live, but most of the time they're called modeling paste. Sometimes you'll hear people saying molding paste, and that's still the same thing. Although it doesn't sound the same, it is the same. Then there is things like light paste as opposed to regular paste, matte, opaque. Like there's just so many different names. Most of them are just the same thing, just being called differently. And that's something that I talk a lot about in the mediums, that different places, different companies call it different things, and this just gets very confusing, especially for somebody who's a beginner. So I just want to talk specifically about modeling paste, which is the same as what we call molding paste or just paste. If you just call it art paste, that is fine. And the reason why they put the word modeling is because you can actually create things with it and run it through different stencils or actually mold it around things. So that's why it's called modeling paste. So we're going to talk a little bit about the different companies and what they make from the ones I have, but I know that other companies do the same. Blix has them, and like any of the local companies has. Golden has one, and I'm not sure which other ones, but just look around, and as long as it says modeling paste, then I will talk about the different consistencies and colors, and you will see what I mean. So let's get started. So I'm going to talk specifically about the ones that I actually have here, but I'm going to talk specifically about the words on top of in the labels, because that's really what's important when you go into a store or you're buying online and you really don't know what it actually means. I want to talk specifically about modeling paste specifically, and then I will talk about the other kinds, which are the ones that are like different consistencies. These ones that you see right here, they're more or less the same consistency, and the reason why it's because they have, when you open them up, they look more gel-like. So they basically have a lot more gel than the actual other products, other marbles or other things that are have in there. And when you look at the consistency between these ones and the other ones that I had before, you will see the difference, and I will open them up after to compare. So modeling paste, when it says opaque matte, that means that it will give you a very nice satin finish, like not a satin, sorry, a very nice non-shiny finish. So you will have a matte finish, and opaque meaning that it actually is not translucent. So when you actually put it through, it will cover up what you're doing, so you will not see anything through it. Then you have, this one is also very much the same. It's also pretty opaque, although it doesn't say it, but I've used it before. And then you have these really cool modeling pastes that the Crafters Workshop have. So most modeling pastes come in white, and they're white and they dry a little bit translucent, but like I said here, this one does cover up the area, so you will not see the thing underneath. But then you have the Crafters Workshop came up with really cool modeling paste. They came up with the regular one, which is the white modeling paste, and I like it that it is nice and thick. The thicker the modeling paste, the easiest it is to apply it. If it's too liquidy, it will just run underneath. Let's say you're using it with a stencil, it will run underneath the stencil. So the nice thing about it is that both the Crafters Workshop and also DecoArt Media created a black modeling paste. And I think that is really, really cool, because sometimes you want to create a dark background. You want to create dark texture. And if you could do it with gesso, but if the gesso is not thick enough, you will not get that really nice result that you want to get with modeling paste. Now you could mix stuff into the modeling paste and create a black modeling paste, but to get that consistency to be very thick, if you're going to add black paint into this, it will make it very liquidy, and you will have to mix other things into it to make it thicker. So this is conveniently made for you by both DecoArt Media and by the Crafters Workshop. And then you have the Crafters Workshop made a very cool modeling paste. They call it clear modeling paste, and I have to say I've used this before. It's not 100% clear, but it's the clearest one I've seen from all the modeling pastes out there, and it dries pretty clear. So it's really nice because you get that modeling paste consistency, but you can actually have other uses for this. So you could have something, let's say you want to show something underneath, but you still want that texture on top. Then clear modeling paste will be the perfect thing for that. I'm going to open these up and show you the consistency of this. I'm going to get, okay, so as you can see, I mean, this one is pretty used, but you can see that it's a pretty gel-like. And I'm going to get a palette knife to show you. It is pretty gel-like, and in comparison you cannot tell what I mean, but soon I will show you the other one. So it's really hard to see that this is gel-like. Okay, I'm trying to kind of put it onto something, but it's not really working. So what I mean by gel is that it's pretty smooth and kind of a little bit shiny. Although it will dry clear, it's a pretty shiny, and it's a little bit on the heavier thick side. I will show you these ones as well, just to show you the difference. You see how it's like shiny? That means that it has a lot of the gel in it. So that's really, really nice. This one doesn't, oh, this one also says it's opaque and thick texture, so that's okay. So opaque black color, it does not tell me whether or not it will dry shiny or not, and I can't remember if it does, but I do remember that this one doesn't. Even though it looks shiny, it does dry pretty matte. So that's a good one to have as well. And you see how thick it is, and it almost reminds me of like really thick gelatin. So in that sense, it's really cool. This white one is the same thing, you see. So they're pretty similar. They might have like a little bit of a difference, but I'll show you soon when we compare them in terms of consistency, it will be different. Now this one is more in the grayish color. This is the clear one that dries clear. So that's a really, that's a difference in this one. And this is the white, which is the same as this other one. So I'll just show you. And I did make sure this time that I was able to open all my jars, because last time I couldn't open some of them, and it was very embarrassing when I was trying to do this video. Okay, so I'm going to now bring these other ones that I have here. And these are the light and fluffy ones that are a little bit different than the regular modeling paste. So if you see something called light modeling paste, what they mean by light is they mean that is less heavy. And it's really hard because you're not going to be weighing the modeling paste, but you're going to see the consistency when you grab them with a palette knife. And I am going, first of all, even when I open this, you can see the huge difference between them. So this one has more consistency like a gel, while this one has consistency of frosting, almost like cake frosting. So I'm going to grab another palette knife, and I'm going to show you. And you see, you can really tell the difference in that and this one here. This, I have to say, this light paste is the one I use the most often. It is matte like the other one. It is light and it's so easy to apply. One of the great things about light paste is that it dries quickly. And for an impatient person like me, I really need that happening quick because I do not have patience. And yeah, it dries quickly both on its own and when you heat set it. So it's really, really nice in that sense. So light paste, a lot of companies make that. Golden makes that. I don't have that one here. I used to use that one until I started with Prima, and I do love my light paste from Art Basics from Finnabair, so that's why I use this one the most. You can see I've used this one a lot as well, but it's a different consistency, which I'm going to show you soon. And then you have like the Liquitex light paste, and I really wanted to try this long time ago, and I grabbed and I bought this, and it is very similar to the one from Prima. I don't remember what it was, why I didn't want to use it. There was something, you see, I haven't used a lot of it. I remember it being good, but not as smooth, I guess, as the Prima one. I don't know what it was. I remember not liking it. And as you can see, I left it like this. So I did buy it originally, but then I haven't used it as much. But it does look pretty similar to the other. I'm not sure if it was something to do with how it dried afterwards, but I wasn't too happy with that one. And the last light one that I want to show you is the one from the Crafter's Workshop. And to talk about the one from Golden, I have to say it's very similar to the one from Prima, and it's very, very nice as well. So in that sense, it's great. Now this one really, it looks like frosting to me. It's a bit different consistency, but really creamy. It's more creamy than fluffy, but it's called light and fluffy. And I do love that because it is pretty fluffy and pretty light, and it's really great for that. So I've used this one before, and it's a similar thing, and I love it as well. So I've been lucky enough that I've been given some of these to try, so I can really give you a good explanation of what they are. Another thing that the Crafter's Workshop made is that it made one called Shimmery Goodness, and it's basically a paste. Oh, I thought I tried this one to open this one as well. Oh, there it is. Okay. It's shimmery. It's a paste in the same way as the other one, but it's all shimmery, and it's really, really, really nice and has glimmers, which is really great. So you could create this on your own by adding mica, like shimmery mica, but truthfully, it's just nice to have it already made for you. And definitely, I will definitely post everything underneath all these products so you can, check out the ones you want and try them out. 13 Arts, I used to design for them a long time ago, so they did send me some of these things, and the modeling paste is really good as well. So if you're in Europe, then you can order from them, or you can order these things from Mixed Media Place from Ireland, and they have all the Finnabair things there from Mixed Media Place, and I will post those links below as well. So just one last thing I want to talk about before I start playing is to talk about these other things that are made by other companies, and they call them something else, but it's still modeling paste. So Wendy Vecchi from Studio 490, she came up with these embossing pastes. And what they are, they're basically pastes. And why she called them embossing is because you can use them with, let's say, a stencil, the same way you're using all these other ones, and they create that embossing look. So the nice thing about these is that they also came in different colors. So metallic gold, they came in silver, black. So this is a really good, so sometimes they're going to call things embossing pastes or just pastes. It's still modeling paste. And sometimes they're going to add colors into it. So for example, Heidi Swapp came up with these, it's from American Crafts. It came up with these. These are also modeling paste, and they do call these texture paste, but however, when you actually open them up, they're pretty smooth. They don't have that gritty texture that I was talking about. So you could call this modeling paste texture paste because it technically can be used to create texture on your projects, but it doesn't have that grittiness. So for me to kind of differentiate between things, I do like calling things modeling paste or paste, because that has that smooth consistency as opposed to that texture paste that has that gritty consistency. And Heidi Swapp came up with a bunch of colors, and what I like about the modeling paste should have two things: be very smooth and be very thick, so you could use it to do modeling or to use it through a stencil. So that's basically what the two characteristics that I find are what define a modeling paste. Then you get into a texture paste, and that would be like the grittiness of it. So a lot of companies have something very similar to modeling paste, and they just call it something else. For example, the last example that I want to show you, and let me get them here, it's the Nouveau Mousse, okay? They're calling it Mousse, but it kind of reminds me of the light and fluffy things that I just called it. So it's just the different names. And I love that these ones come in so many different colors. The cool thing about the Nouveau Mousse is that besides the fact that you can use them as paste, and you can use them through a stencil, you can also use them as watercolors, and you can also use spray them and use them as paints. So it's really, really cool because they have more uses than just the paste. So if you see something like a mousse or embossing paste or anything that says paste on it, as long as it's smooth, it's technically a modeling paste. And sometimes you don't know what they are until you actually open them up and try them out. But it's really fun to play around with all these different products, and I'm going to basically show you some of these, and I'm going to experiment with them so I can show you the different uses of modeling paste. So here we go. Let me just set it all up and we'll get started. Okay, so to talk about what can modeling paste can be applied to, is so many different things, starting from paper, wood, metal, plastic, chipboard, cardboard, metal. Did I say metal already? Oh god, sometimes I do that and I repeat myself. Basically anything. Sometimes you might need to add some gesso underneath to prime it, just so it doesn't come off the object. However, you could definitely, because it has that gel in it, it will stick to things and it will cover things really, really well. Before I get into my favorite way to use modeling paste, I want to just tell you that you could take things like, for example, this heart, and use some modeling paste. And let me take any of them. Okay, I'll take the light one here. And you could take modeling paste and cover the whole thing. So this is just a wooden heart, and you could just cover this and create this really nice 3D effect on it. You could also then use your palette knife to create texture on it by just pressing it, or by creating, this is the fluffy one, so you can see that it's almost like frosting. So I really like that this one is the light one, but you could do this with any of the modeling paste as well. You could also take something like, for example, this jar is full, but let's assume this was empty. You could go ahead and basically, and I'm going to show you, cover the whole jar with modeling paste and then paint it, and it will create that really cool texture on top. So you could use modeling paste to just cover basically anything. But my favorite way to to use, sorry, modeling paste is through a stencil, and that's basically in mixed media, that's what I use it for the most. So I got myself a little paper here, and this is a Strathmore Bristol smooth paper, just because that's what I had handy. Oops, sorry, and I just want to clean this, and I'm going to test the different pastes here, so you can kind of see a chart of what they are. And I'll do the same thing I did the other day and put the names on it so I know what is what, and then we can compare them once it's dry. So I'm going to start. I just have the light and fluffy there in front of me. So the light and fluffy, the light paste from Prima Marketing. So I'm going to get this stencil here, and I'm going to put it right here in the corner. And you're not going to see too much of it yet because I'm putting it on a white background, but you will notice once I put, I'm going to spray them on top after, because I love adding that to different with sprays, and that will help show the different texture. So this is Prima Light Paste Finnabair. Okay, now I'm going to go right underneath it with the same one. I don't know, I brought different stencils, but I think I might just stick to one stencil. We'll see. I'm going to try this one, which is a different consistency. Oops, no, maybe not in the same spot. Let me turn it around like this. I don't want them to mix. I want to really be a true test of them. So, and the nice thing about the paste, and I always tell this to my students, is that you don't need a lot to create that 3D texture. So it's always best to take a little bit at a time, put it on your stencil, and then take more from the jar, and then scrape off the excess, just because, number one, I mean, things are expensive and you can save, but also because the texture will come out better that way. So let me clean this thing here. Okay, and let's call this one Finnabair modeling paste, right? So Prima Finnabair modeling, oops, I always put two L's, paste. Now the last one I want to try in this row is I'm trying to keep them with the different manufacturers. I'm going to try the Liquitex one, which I have here, and let's try this side. Okay, just to show you the different ones. I just like comparing, and as I said, the golden ones are very similar to the ones from Prima. So let me see. Yeah, this is pretty smooth. I don't know what I was complaining about. It's a really nice paste. So if you can get Liquitex, it's still really, really nice to use. I do like it. I don't know why I said I didn't like it. I do like it. It's funny. I haven't used this in a long time, so that's probably why I don't remember how it looks like. Oh, and I don't have room to write, so this I'm just going to make little arrows. This is for that, and this is Liquitex modeling paste. I'm going to put MP now for things, and let me put a line. Okay. I guess I could have made little squares with things, but I'm not as organized. I like being impromptu, so that's what you're getting. You're getting the impromptu thing. So the nice thing about these is that they dry quickly, as I said before, and you're going to see I'm not going to be doing too much to this, and they're still going to be drying really quickly. So I'm just cleaning up my stencil. It's a really important thing to clean your stencils from the modeling paste, because if you don't, it will create a really thick, it will accumulate, and then you won't be able to use your stencils anymore. I'm going to take a different stencil just because I want to have, fun with it. This is a Tim Holtz stencil. The good thing is that this is going to be in this direction, so it's good. All right, so I'm going to try now the two modeling pastes from DecoArt, just because I feel like it. And this is the black one. Oh, and you see, I don't want to take too much, because when you take too much, it becomes hard to, and it can get between the grooves. Oops. See, even when I have too much of it, you can always take more, but you can take less. Okay, and one sec, since I'm already here, I'm going to grab the white one as well. I'm going to do the white modeling paste as well from the same company, just to show you. Okay. Hold on, here we go. So this is pretty smooth, just like the other ones. I really like the smoothness of this modeling paste. It kind of reminds me of the fluffy ones, the light ones. So that's good to know. So in that case, you have, so if you find these to buy, then that's okay as well. I'm just saying you can just play around with different ones. I also want to show you this embossing paste. This is the Studio 490, and this is more gooey, but as you can see, it's smooth. So that's why I included these in the pastes. So this one will give you a golden hue, and I really like this because it's golden and you don't have to like mix it. However, you could use mica powders from Prima or Pearl-Ex, and you could mix them into modeling paste, and that will create this really nice golden hue. Let me remove this. Oops, it's getting stuck too. How cool is that? See, you can't see the white one, but you can definitely see the other ones. So again, I'm going to, and this black one is very similar to this, and it's a little bit, I think it's a little bit shimmery when it dries. So I hope these are still available. I haven't checked if the Studio 490 from Wendy Becky are still available on the market. Once I do all this, I will check, because I always put the links, and I worry that sometimes things have been discontinued, so I will not know until I actually go and search for the links. Okay, so that's why if you don't find it underneath, that means that it's discontinued and I can't find it, and I'm not sure sometimes if things are going to be discontinued or not. And many times when I do videos, I have things that are older, and I like using things that I have from previous years, because it's really good to use your old stuff. And I find it with especially mediums that dry up quickly, you really want to be able to use everything you have and not buy new ones until you've used most of it. I'm going to now go into the Crafters Workshop one, and let's see, I want to use this circular one. Okay, so I'm going to try to not get on top of the other stuff, or maybe I'll try as much as I can. Oh, and I forgot to write the thing. So this is Studio 490 Embossing Paste Gold, and this one here is DecoArt, and it's like, you can tell it's black and white, so that's the two ones. Okay, so now I'm going to do the Crafters Workshop. There's so many different ones that I want to try all of them. We'll start with the light and fluffy. This one, as I said, is very similar to the light paste, but I do want you to see it and try and see how it works. And I'm just going to put very little bit of it, and here we go. So it's a little bit thicker actually than it's not as light as I thought, because light is relative. Lightness is relative to different people or different companies. It's pretty light. It's much lighter than the other ones, but it's quite thick, which is the nice thing about it. So I like the fact that it's thick, because it really, you're really able to put it through a stencil nicely. And then I'm going to try the regular modeling paste from them. This is more gel-like and quite thick as well. So what I like about the Crafters Workshop ones is that they're very, very thick. You can see that, like, I can feel how thick they are by the way that I'm moving the palette knife. And you see, as I'm always putting things back when I'm done, because I really want to make sure that I save everything as much as I can. This is the regular white one. And now I'm going to put I'm gonna have to move this down. So I'm gonna put the clear one, and this is the true test to see once it's all dry. Okay, so hold on. You know what? I'm gonna put the clear one over here. Again, quite thick, which is really, really nice about it. Okay, so that's the clear one. And then finally, I'm going to use the black one here on the side. Oops. Again, I think that's one of the things that I want to say about the ones from the Crafters Workshop, is that they're very, very thick. And that is a bonus when you want to use them with stencils. So that's a really good thing. The ones from Prima are also pretty thick, and they do a great job as well. So those are basically the ones that I go to when I need to. I want to show you this one. This is the one from Heidi Swapp. I'm not going to move the stencil yet because I want to put another stencil somewhere else. So hold on, let me clean my palette knife. And okay, so I'm gonna put just a little bit on this here. And the cool thing about this Heidi Swapp one is that this one is shimmery. Believe it or not, it's really, really shimmery. It's hard to tell, but it is. Here, I'm gonna get another stencil here, and this one is quite shimmery, very similar to the one from the Crafters Workshop. It's not as thick as the Crafters Workshop, but it's shimmery, which is really nice to see. And you can see it here. It's hard to see the shimmery part of it, but it is. And I'm going to also, oh, I guess I should have kept this here. Oops. Let me just put this back where it was. And okay, and I also forgot to show you this Shimmery Goodness from the Crafters Workshop. So that's another one that I want to show how shimmery it is. And this one is not as thick as the other ones that I was talking about. It's more like gel-like, but still really easy to apply through a stencil. Okay. Okie dokie. So there's the two. And I'm going to have to, they look very similar, so it's very hard to tell between the two of them. I'm just going to put the names of everything so I don't forget. So this is Heidi Swapp texture paste. This is, oops, the Crafters Workshop Shimmery Goodness. This is the Crafters Workshop, oops, Crafters Workshop black paste, modeling paste. This one was the Crafters Workshop clear modeling paste. And this was the light and fluffy. So the Crafters, oops, don't want to get my sweater in there. The Crafters Workshop light and fluffy modeling paste. And this one is the regular, the Crafters Workshop modeling paste. That's this one. Okay, so that's pretty cool. The last thing I want to show you, I mean, this looks like a little map there that I did, and as I said, I like doing impromptu things. So that's me doing this. And the last one is the Nouveau Mousse, and I've done a video on Nouveau Mousse before. I've used it for different things as a paste actually, and I'll link that. I think hopefully I remember to link that below. It was cards that are mandala cards. So if I don't link it, remember to go to see my mandala cards, and I used the Nouveau Mousse as paste, and it was great. So I'm going to use this one. Okay, and this is pretty thick. So you could water it down with water if you want to, or you can just leave it the way it is. And hold on, I'm just trying to clean my stencil a little bit. Okay, so let me just put Oh no, where am I going to put the Nuvo Mousse? Here at the bottom. That's the only place I have left. So that's where it's going to go. So as I said, it's pretty thick, but it goes on pretty smooth. And it's kind of moves around as you're using it, and you could dilute it with water, which is really nice, and it has so many different uses. So there we go. Yay, it worked. Okay, that's good. So as you can see, the smoothness of the modeling paste is what makes it modeling paste. If you and that's how I differentiate between modeling paste and texture paste, and I find that the two are the same consistency in terms of like what's the base of it is. However, the texture paste has grittiness in it, has stuff included in it, and I will do a whole new video about that coming up. But in the meantime, I'm just going to focus on the modeling paste. So I'm going to let this dry, air dry, because I wanted to see how it dries naturally. But you can definitely heat set it. It will dry basically the same, well, maybe a little bit faster. So we'll see what happens. Let me just stop this video and I'll come back when it's all dry. Okay, so it didn't take a long time for it to dry, and it really, when you use a heat tool, it takes a few minutes, not even. Especially the light ones take like nothing to dry, and this was probably 10 minutes that I just let it air dry. And of course the last one took a little bit longer to dry, but that was because these ones were done first, so no science to that. So I'm just going to show you how they look with some sprays, just to kind of make you understand what they can be used for. You could use inks on these as well, and you can use any type of product. So I just have some sprays here that are around me, so those are the ones I'm going to be using. So oops, this is clogged, never mind. Let's try the yellow one, okay? So the nice thing about them is that all these pastes can be really, once they're dry, they're permanent, and they create really nice textures. So just to show you, I mean, you can really see them even when they're white. This is the clear one, and it's not as clear as you think. It is more of a grayish tint, so it's not as stark white, and it does well underneath different paints and stuff like that, or sprays, but it's not fully clear. If you want a fully clear thing, you can use the 3D gel from Prima. Whoosh, that's not good. That really sprayed everywhere. And I just want to show you, maybe I should use inks and not, okay, so that was a little bit of a mishap, but let me just show it to you with inks. I think that will be a little bit easier. You can do sprays, of course, but I'm just going to show you how it looks nice with inks as well. And okay, so for example, this is just dye ink, and it's a little bit, so that's a little bit of a dirty pad. So the nice thing about this is that you could use the ink and it will taint the actual paste, but you could also use, oh sorry about that, you could also use different types of things to basically alter this. So I don't know why sometimes when you're trying to do something it doesn't work as you want it. I'm trying to find something that will work. Okay, I brought a few more sprays and I brought this chalk ink. I just want to show you how it works, and somehow things are not working the way I want them to. So you can see that it works with any type of ink, whether it's dye ink, chalk ink, and so forth. And the nice thing about the water inks, the ones that react with water, is that they go into the background, but the modeling paste will actually resist some of the water-based inks. So things like the chalk ink, the stress ink, it will actually resist it, while the dye inks will actually take it, will go into the paste itself. You can do the same thing. Oh, here, much better. doesn't go everywhere. So that's the bluing and the blue spray, and the same thing, you could just wipe off the top. Because it reacts with water, it comes off much easier. Or you could just leave it the way it is. I'm going to put a little bit of green on this one and let them dry a little bit. So you can see basically what I mean, where things are, you're adding different products to different modeling paste, and most of them will do the same thing. Will have that pattern stick out from throughout the ink or the spray. You could use paint. Now if you actually use paint, and I'll show you what's nice about this. So I have this paint handy right here. If you this is a dark paint, but you can use any type of paint. If you actually use paint, what will happen is that it will cover it all, but it will still have that really nice texture underneath, that 3D texture. So this is a great way. You see how cool that looks? And you could do this on black as well. Okay, it will still cover it. The nice thing about black is that you could use it without having to put paint on top of it. With the white one, you can create the same texture and then just put paint on top. And then once you have that texture, and this is, I mean, this gets already into the more experienced and more technique-based mixed media, you could dry this up and then go in with some kind of wax, okay, or even other metallic paint. Let me just go and find you some. And if I dry this up, okay, let me just finish drying this up. I want to show you how cool it looks. So this is an extra little technique that I'm adding here, but really is not related to the modeling paste per se. Okay, so as you can see, I mean, I did spray a bit sporadically here, but it's just really fun to play around, and I encourage you to play with the different modeling paste, or buy one modeling paste and play around with it and see how you like it. It's still a little bit wet, hold on. Okay, so what's nice about the modeling paste is because it created that really nice 3D effect. When you add anything on top, it will bring up those really nice textures. So those highlights from the modeling paste will come up. And that's a really cool technique to do with modeling paste. So the main uses of modeling paste, besides being able to cover things and creating texture, my favorite way to use them is through stencils and create patterns in your backgrounds for art journaling, or for mixed media, or for canvases, or for whatever, for scrapbooking, for whatever project you use. Modeling paste is a great medium to have in your stash. Thank you so much for coming again and watching my video. I really appreciate it. Please share this on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you can, to help others, because it's really important to help other beginners. I've had such a great response from people, how they love the beginner series, so it's really important to share this with others. If you know other friends that need it, that would be awesome. And also, I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel or visit my website and subscribe to the newsletter. It really helps to support me, but it also helps you learn. I try to do guides for each one of these mediums, and if you subscribe or you sign up to my website, then you can find out every time I have a video. And also, if you go to my videos and you press on underneath it where there's a little bell, it will give you notifications whenever I have a video coming up. So that way you'll be able to find out about all the new videos. The next one is texture paste, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy that one as well, because I'm going to go in depth into different types of texture paste. Thanks so much for everything. Bye.